Today I am going to talk about how should safety be in the laboratory, why is it important, and I am going to give some examples of accident in laboratory. First, I want to talk about what is science. Science is the pursuit and application of knowledge and understanding of the natural and social world following a systematic methodology based on evidence. Why define science? In 2009, the Science Council agreed that it wanted to be clearer when it talked about sound science and science-based policy. The Science Council has science in its name but had not previously clarified what this actually meant. In addition to developing a better understanding of what types of organizations might become members, it was felt that the recent inclusion of the advancement of science as a charitable activity in the 2006 Charities Act suggested that in that context a definition would be useful. This was how this definition arose. What is science education? Science education is the teaching and learning of science to non-scientists, such as school children, college students, or adults within the general public. The field of science education includes work in science content, science process, some social science, and some teaching pedagogy. The standards for science education provide expectations for the development of understanding for students through the entire course of their K-12 education and beyond. The traditional subjects included in the standards are physical, life, earth, space, and human sciences. Some basic rules you should know. First, you should know basic safety rules such as, no locations of laboratory safety showers, eyewash stations, and fire extinguishers. Laboratory safety glasses or goggles should be worn in any area where chemicals are used or stored. They should also be worn anytime there is a chance of splashes or particulates to enter the eye, and never consume and/or store food or beverages or apply cosmetics in areas where hazardous chemicals are used or stored. And the most important safety rule in science is to follow the instructions given by your teachers or in the textbook which you are referring to conduct the experiment. And the most important thing for laboratory safety is to follow these rules. Why laboratory safety is important? Now I am going to explain why laboratory safety is important. Laboratory safety is important because accidents can happen at any time and you may see permanent damages, so your laboratory should be safe and you must obey the laboratory safety rules. If you are not obey these rules and if your laboratory is not safe, accidents may occur in your laboratory. Teachers' responsibilities in the laboratory. Teachers have too much responsibility in the laboratory, but I am going to give some examples of them. 1. Upkeep of laboratory and equipment. Make sure eyewash stations, safety showers, fire extinguishers, and fire blankets are correctly positioned and in good working order. 2. Record keeping. Keep organized records on safety training of staff for as long as required by the school system. 3. Safety and emergency procedures. Know the location of and how to use all safety and emergency equipment and educate students on the location and use of all safety and emergency equipment prior to laboratory activity. 4. Maintenance of chemicals. If possible, keep all chemicals in their original containers and do not store chemicals on the lab bench, on the floor, or in the laboratory chemical hood. 5. Preparing for laboratory activities. Before entering the laboratory, instruct students on all laboratory procedures that will be conducted. 7. You should plan the lab activity before the laboratory lesson. Students' responsibilities in the laboratory. Also, students have many responsibilities in the laboratory and I am going to talk about of them. Students are required to follow all rules, guidelines, and instruction provided by the teacher and school district. Students are expected to read and understand the rules of the safety contract. Once the teacher has reviewed the rules of the student safety contract, the students will then sign the safety contract, signifying that they have been instructed and understand the requirements for safety in the school science laboratory. Their parents should also sign the safety contract so they are aware of the rules their child will have to follow and the potential consequences if they are not followed. The students must wear all required personal protection equipment such as chemical splash goggles, gloves, and aprons as instructed by the teacher. They must also inspect all personal protection equipment prior to use. Examples of accidents in laboratory. Now I am going to give some examples of accidents and I will explain how these accidents can be prevented. There are many accidents happened in the laboratory because of the ignorance, overconfidence, carelessness, negligence and distraction. 4. The Air 9 type of accidents. These are 1. Acid burns, 2. Base burns, 3. Physical shocks, 4. Electric shocks, 5. Fires, 6. Explosions, 7. Burns, 8. Incisions and 9. Poisoning. How to prevent these accidents. Now I will explain how to prevent these accidents. 1. The burned place should be washed several times with plenty of soda water or hot water. 1. 2. The burned area is washed several times with plenty of water and then washed several times with lemon juice or diluted picric acid solution or with a very weak organic acid solution. 3. The first intervention to the injured person is to warm the body, lay it down the injured person, sniff out very dilute ammonia vapor, give oxygen, and these make it out shock. 4. The first thing to do is to save the person from electric current, and if it's possible you had to cut off electric current. If the person didn't breathe you should do artificial respiration to him. 5. Flammable materials should be kept away from fire. 6. If you are doing somethings with explosive substances you should be careful. If you are not know anything you should ask someone who knows about explosive substances. 7. Burns should be washed with plenty of cold water first, so that the density is reduced and the burn effect is reduced. Also, it should be washed with alcohol, then it should be left open by applying petroleum jelly. 8. The incision area is washed with plenty of clean water, and then a gauze is pressed to the incision area. After the blood is stopped, the wound is thoroughly washed with hydrogen peroxide and cleaned with alcohol. 9. If the patient is conscious, 4 or 5 glasses of hot water with soap or salty warm water are given and the stomach is emptied. If the poison is known, an antidote is given immediately. If the poison is unknown, 2 spoons of activated charcoal are given. After cleaning the stomach, milk, egg or porridge are given. How should first aid be in the laboratory? Now I will explain how should first aid be in the laboratory. Every laboratory teacher should know how should first aid be in the laboratory. In my opinion, if someone want to be a laboratory teacher, she or he should learn first aid for the laboratory. After that they can enter the laboratory teacher's exam. If she or he didn't know first aid for the laboratory they shouldn't enter the laboratory teacher's exam. In every laboratory should have a first aid kit and eye wash station, and the laboratory teachers should know how to use them. Thank you for listening to me. Please subscribe to my channel and like this video.